hello, welcome back to Quicks14Blog, continuing our add-on special even, as we get to part 5 for ArcHud, scrolling combat text, and scrolling combat damage text. First, let's look at ArcHud. This is another HUD option, very similar to ArcHud, but with a few specific changes. Yes, I do use both, but I have a lot of ArcHud's options turned off because I like ArcHud's options better. Basically, everything below my feet is going to be ArcHud that we're going to focus on. As you can see, it has a 3D portrait. It has all the information down there, and it also has a couple of buff timers. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the actual options. It's not in the add-ons at all, and it's a foobar or a /command in order to bring up the options. So let's look at it. There are lots of ArcHud options. Again, it has all the same options that you saw in ArcHud. Please ignore the instant messages I got here for a little bit. Somebody instant messaged me, asked me for a run. I didn't respond obviously because I'm trying to record this. The important options we're looking at here is all the player name, pet name, target name, the actual frames and options, including the 3D portrait options. Right now, by default, it's set to only show 3D portraits for players that you have targeted, not mobs. But you can turn that option on. And also, of course, your other options for fades with it as well, and of course, in and out of combat fades, and all those other options. And as you can see, it has all the same options that ArcHud does, but the display is much more of an arc. It's much more circular than our ArcHud is, and that's why I like ArcHud better, but I do like some of the features ArcHud has, and that's why I use it as well. That's pretty much all there is to it. Like I said, you can use one or the other. There's the /commands. It's just simple /ArcHud config, and that'll bring up the same thing you just saw in the foobar options. It's your preference. I like to use both because, like I said, I have my eyes all over the screen, so by having those two on, I can, even if I'm looking down, I can still see some important information if my eyes aren't all the way up to the top left to see my target. As you might notice, big screen resolution change here. Please look at this in high def. It should be awesome now. And of course, things look a little different on my screen as is. This is running in windowed mode in Windows 7 RC at a resolution of 1440 by 900. And yes, it still gives decent frames per second. I love it. It's awesome. And of course, you can download ArcHud from all the major retailers. Now let's look at the scrolling combat text. Scrolling combat text you should already be familiar with. Blizzard has their own version of it. This is a little more customizable and optional. As you can see there, I casted something on me to show it. You can set all kinds of different options here for the events, for different damage events, healing events, attack events, mana gain events, things of that nature. You can set all this here, their priority, how they should be showed up, like your killing blow, like when you get a killing blow, if you get aggro, and so on and so forth. Now, this is the actual frames for changing where the scrolling combat text comes from. Some scrolling combat text can include your, like I said, healing on yourself. Some others can be many different stuff. I can't think off the top of my head. If you miss all that important information, like I said, if you get aggro, things like that, just really nice stuff. Trust me, this is a lot more customizable and usable and changeable than the Blizzard one, and I suggest everyone uses it. It's really nice. It's really easy. You can pretty much plug it in and go and leave it as is, or you can customize it to your specifications, no matter what your UI. And then, of course, there's a whole bunch of different things, so you can switch what you do not want to be shown and what you do want to be shown, so you're not overloaded with information and things like that. That puts, if you click that, instead of it showing, things like that, it'll show it on your HUD instead. And it's a really nice thing. I've used scrolling combat text for a long time. It's one of those original add-ons that I've used and I continue to use because I just enjoy it so much. My favorite, of course, is these, the low hit points and low mana warnings that'll flash on your screen. They are awesome. You can set them to which percentage you want. By default, it's 40% of your mana and hit point base. When you get low and it hits that warning, it'll flash and it'll ding at you that you're low on mana and health, which is really handy in a fight, especially in instances of raiding. And again, stuff. It comes with tons of custom events. Like I said, the aggro, clear casting, a whole bunch, and of course you can add your own. So it's very versatile, very nice. You can set what it is, the name of it, what it says, how it says it, who's it for, what classes, the sound, if it has an icon, all that stuff. Very, very cool. Accept classes there. You can disable events or save them. There are tons of built-in events, custom events, and of course you can make your own and reset them back to default if something goes wrong. And of course it has profiles built in, so you can set up each profile as you like. By default, it uses the same profile for everyone, I do believe, and that's it. So as you can see here I go, I'm casting regrowth, and pow, there it is. That's scrolling combat text. That's what it does. It obviously is not just for healing, it's just easiest to show you with healing. Ignore the critical strike record. That's a different add-on, and we'll go over that later. But as you can see here, like as I gain back mana here from my rejuve, you'll see it pop and scroll there, which is really cool. That's scrolling combat text. Of course, you can get that from all the major UI sites as well, Curse, WoW UI, and WoW Interface. And scrolling combat text would never be complete without scrolling combat damage text, which is a separate add-on or an inclusive add-on. I would suggest you get it along with scrolling combat text. And this has this is the stuff you're really used to, showing damage and stuff. As you can see there, it separated those out with damage and how much was absorbed. Same thing with the healing that you saw on the other one, does the same thing. It's showing the parries and all this stuff. Now as you can see, it's very default in how it's moving. Now let's go ahead and show you some of those options. There's not too many options in scrolling damaged combat damage text, and of course but since it uses scrolling combat text for most of its stuff, but most of the things it's looking for is melee damage, spell damage, pet damage, all that stuff is all here. Damage shields, so on and so forth. You can set the display information here of how you want it to be shown. All that. Any other display options are pretty much the same as scrolling combat text, so you will be able to make those changes there for things such as font and other options. The important thing here is the frames, of course, the actual frames, and as you can see, the SCTD there right in the middle of the screen is how it shows up, and as you can see, it just scrolls right up. You have many different options here for that: the font size, the opacity, where the position is, the font type, which is nice. You can move it where you like and set it up that way. And then of course this is a wonderful little option. You have these drop down here of how you want it to scroll. Do you want it to, by default it scrolls up. We're going to switch it over to rainbow, and you're going to see how it just kind of does a little arc like a rainbow and just falls off. Very, very cool. If anyone's watched WoW Hobbs and has seen him when he's fighting and his damage text comes off like this, this is what he's using. As you can see, the critical still shows up right there, right in front up the top there, so you can see when you get a critical hit. Everything else just pours off like ammo. It's awesome. This is what he uses and everything in order to show that, and it's a really, really nice add-on, especially if you're a tank. So you can see things. Some other things that can pop up with it is when a mob changes targets, it'll actually show it changing targets, and when it's targeting you or someone else. So if you're a tank trying to keep aggro on things, trying to watch when things are targeting you or changing targets to somebody else and making sure they got them, this is a quick, easy way to show it at a glance. Real simple. Real nice. Very customizable. Suggest it for everyone. Of course, again, it is available at all the major UI sites, so please go check it out. Keep up on the blog. New posts up for the blog, of course, more add-ons and much more coming at you, and all that goodness. And coming up next, we have some really cool stuff here for you. Coming up next is TipTac, Mob Info, and WoW Instant Messenger. You don't want to miss that. It's coming up in part 6. See you soon.